Time to begin the regular meeting of the Metropolitan Council. It is Wednesday, January 10th, and I call this meeting to order. The first order of business is the approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes from our December 13th meeting.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. The next item on the agenda is this is the opportunity in the meeting where members of the public who wish to address the council on matters not on the agenda may do so. I would just ask you to please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We have a couple of folks who have signed up. Ashley Lokensgaard. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Lokensgaard. Okay, welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I am Ashley Lokensgaard, President of AFSCME Local 668. I'm sure you know that the Council has filed for mediation with AFSCME over our contract. What you might not know is just how little actual negotiating has gone on. We filed our intent to negotiate in June after repeated attempts to schedule the start of our negotiations. Your team finally agreed to start negotiating with us on October 17th. Since that time, the Council's negotiating team has arrived at our scheduled meetings on time and prepared to work only twice. They have cut meetings short. They have canceled meetings. They have spent more of our meeting time in private caucus than actually talking with us. Your chief negotiator told us on more than once that she arrived completely unprepared to negotiate with us. I can't think of any other setting at the council where it is acceptable to repeatedly come to a meeting unprepared. Our manager certainly wouldn't expect that of us or tolerate that of us, and it shouldn't happen in negotiations either. We did our homework last summer. We filed our intent to negotiate when we were ready. All of that work, of course, was done on our own time. At our first meeting, we proposed conducting conceptual bargaining to either go and promote discussion. And this is what the AFSCME is proposing to do now for our negotiating strategy. Your team refused. They asked for specific language. We gave them specific language. They asked for examples. We gave them examples, and they asked for more specifics. Then your team filed for mediation. At our last meeting, your negotiator was an hour late, arrived unprepared, and lectured us again on about our lack of progress. They even rejected our housekeeping items. Changes without any discussion whatsoever, and saying that they didn't understand them when we gave them a fully annotated copy of our contract with them, and with comments. Worse, they told us repeatedly how disappointed the council is at the progress with negotiations when they appear to be only marginally engaged in the process. We realize that there are many strategies to negotiating. We don't know if this strategy is deliberate, but we do know that we've been ready to negotiate for 7 months. We'd like you to send your negotiators back to the table, ready and willing to negotiate with us. In all this time, we have tentatively agreed to only one substantial language change. One. Our contract expired on December 31st. We have issues to discuss. We want to talk. We want to get this done. Please ask your negotiating team to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next person on the list is Menking Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Manny Lee. I serve as Vice President of AFSCME 668. What Ashley did tell you is in addition to everything else, yesterday the Metropolitan Council has served her a 30-day notice to terminate her position. As you also know, she is our local president, and we are also in the middle of negotiations. And again, I don't know if this is strategy or coincidence, but I am sure that you can imagine how this message appears to us. We are sincerely hoping this is not the message of the Metropolitan Council members and wish to send the unionized professional and technical employees. When you send your negotiators back to the table, please review the messages and strategies they bring with them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other members of the public that wish to address the council? Seeing none, I think we can move on to the consent agenda as the next order of business. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. The next section on the agenda is the report of the standing committees. First one is the Community Development Committee. Councilmember Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee has 3 items to submit for council approval this afternoon. There are 3 business items related to the Livable Communities funding round, and the committee approved each of these unanimously. The first is item 2017-290 relating to $3.2 million in tax-based revitalization account grant awards to support 14 redevelopment projects. The projects will result together in over 1,000 new and preserved housing units, an annual tax base increase of $2.6 million, over 900 new and retained jobs, and $365 million of leveraged private investment. Therefore, Madam Chair, move that the council award these 14 tax-based revitalization account grants as listed in the committee report, totaling $3.266 million to redevelopment projects in the cities of Bloomington, Maple Grove, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, and also authorize the Community Development Director to execute the grant agreements on the council's behalf.
Great. Thank you, Member Commerce. Hearing the recommendation from the committee, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. The next item, Councilmember Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The second item is item 2017-291. This is an action to award $7,500,000 in Livable Communities Demonstration Account grant awards to support 6 projects in 4 cities. These projects together will result in almost 600 new housing units, including 268 affordable units, an annual tax base increase of over $2.9 million, over 1,200 temporary and permanent jobs, and over $250 million of leveraged private investment dollars. Therefore, Madam Chair, on behalf of the committee, I'd move that the council award the 6 Livable Communities Demonstration Account grants as listed in our report, totaling $7.5 million in the cities of Edina, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Roseville, and also authorize the Community Development Director to execute the grant agreement on the council's behalf.
Thank you, Member Commerce. Hearing the recommendation from the committee, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. Member Commerce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The final item is 2017-292. It's an LCDA Transit-Oriented Development Fall Pre-Development Award grant recommendations. And this motion is to award grant funds to support 2 development projects, one in the city of Hopkins and one in the city of St. Paul, as you can see in the attached committee report. Therefore, Madam Chair, I move that the council award these 2 pre-development grants as listed in the report, totaling $58,125 to the cities of Hopkins and St. Paul, and again authorize the Community Development Director to execute the grant agreement on the council's behalf.
Great. Thanks, Member Commerce. Hearing the recommendation from the committee, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item?
Madam Chair, I just want to, these are, all 3 of these proposals that are coming to us today are a really good set of projects in promoting good developments across the region and a lot of new affordable housing. So I want to thank just the Livable Advisory Committee for doing the work, because there's a lot of work that goes into bringing these recommendations to us. And then I just wanted to suggest with a renewed focus on affordable housing at the state level and in both Minneapolis and St. Paul. I know that Met Council staff are involved in all 3 of these efforts to look at affordable housing across the region and come up with solutions to addressing the crisis. And it's certainly important for the Met Council to be at the table, and I'm glad we are. And to really look at how do our livable community grants, which are a major tool for supporting affordable housing, tie in with those initiatives in both Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the governors moving forward. So I think that'll be interesting to look at how we can best support what comes out of those 3 task force committees.
Great. Any other comments? Well, I would echo, Member Munt.
Madam Chair, I participated in the community visioning sessions around the Art Space project in Hopkins, and there was clear demand by artists in the community for affordable housing where they can live, where they can work, and where they can display their art. So there's clear demand for it, and the developer who is leading the project has executed successful projects around the country.
Excellent. Any other comments on this item? I would just echo our thanks to folks who helped to score all of the grants and really look into, as well as our partnership with the cities and being able to kind of support affordable housing across the region. There's no other discussion on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. The next item on the agenda is the Transportation Committee report. Member Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2018-10 is the same week item, and it's needed to update 2 concrete overlay projects on US 169 in Scott County. The first project includes a total cost decrease of $2,914,000 and an update to the project description. The update is just administrative in that the terminus is not changing, but it's changing from its local road designation to its state highway designation. The second project includes a change to each terminus, resulting in a project length reduction from 6.4 miles to 5.5 miles. It also includes a cost increase of $1,951,000. The cost changes for both projects are a result of MnDOT's refining design plans. I would therefore move, Madam Chair, that the Metropolitan Council concur with the Transportation Advisory Board action to amend the 2018-2021 Transportation Improvement Program to change the termini and costs for 2 concrete overlay projects on US 169.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. Hearing the recommendation from the committee, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is adopted. The next section on the agenda is reports from council members. Do council members have reports that they would like to share? Member Elton.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. On Monday, I went to the Urban Land Institute's advisory board combination meeting with them and the Regional Conference of Mayors, and the topic was autonomous vehicles. And the main presentation was from Tom Fisher, who's the dean of the Architecture School at the University of Minnesota, and he has been doing a lot of research into the land use implications of the coming of autonomous and electric vehicles. And it was very well attended. There must have been probably 30 mayors in attendance in the group, and so it engendered some very interesting discussions. Some of his observations were fairly thought-provoking, like there are futurists who are predicting that the vehicles will be so efficient that we'll need less space for roadways, and that cities might be able to reclaim some of the space that's currently road right-of-way, for example. But overall, I mean, it was thought-provoking enough that we were getting comments out of the mayors to the effect of, all this stuff is supposed to happen over the next 10 to 15 years, and here I am doing a comp plan this year that's supposed to take me through 2040. So the cities have really engaged in this discussion. Of course, we're spending a lot of time in the Transportation Policy Plan work group figuring out how we're going to work that into the transportation policy plan that we'll issue at the end of the year. But this is becoming a very fascinating discussion at this point.
Excellent. Yeah. Member Rummel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yesterday, you were there, and Councilmember Rodriguez. We were at Washington County presenting the TPP, and again, it's a wonderful place to have a conversation. They really open up the door in the conversation, and it was just great to hear a much more focused attention to the TPP as it applied to our district. So it was a great meeting.
I would agree with you. I thought it was a great discussion to hear directly from the county about their concerns and some of the things they're really excited about. So thank you.
The changes.
Yeah. Member Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was also at the Washington County. I thought it was a great discussion and was also able to attend MTS's presentation on the TPP at both Scott County and Ramsey, and joining other council members, Councilmember Barber and Councilmember Wolf at Scott County. And you're also joining me at the Northwest Hennepin League of Municipalities meeting in Loretto tonight. And I know the mayors are very appreciative. And so in 2 days, our chair has been literally to the furthest corners of our region. So thank you for that. Also went to the Highway 12 Safety Coalition meeting where they announced that the preliminary statewide fatalities for Minnesota were way down for 2017, so good news. Finally, I had a meeting with Steve Bott. He's the city administrator for St. Michael on the Corridors of Commerce funding splits. Steve is active in the I-94 Coalition. He also represents the urbanized area outside the Summit County region, in Wright and Sherburne on our TAC. We didn't come to an agreement on what the optimal split for Metro and Greater Minnesota would be, but we did agree that we should all be working together to advocate for more funding for our transportation system, and I include transit funding in that.
Excellent. Member Barber?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today we had the second to the last meeting of the Metro Mobility Task Force. We've made a great deal of progress over the last few months and preparing to report back to the legislature in February. We, over the time period, have broken into a series of small groups. So there was an industry-focused task group looking at coming up with how you might structure different service models. There was a group that was focused on talking about the cost perspective and sort of the drivers of the cost, and a group that was focused on the customer service model. Over the last week, all those groups have come together and created basically a direction for our staff to take in preparing the response to the legislature at their request. Right now, we're on target to have our first draft of that report ready for February 7th. That will go to the task force. At that point, the task force will be able to vote on it, which direction they, as long as they agree or recommend additional changes, and then with the goal of getting that report to the legislature for February 15th. It's been a very collaborative and unique experience with a very diverse group of people, and so it's been very interesting that not only has the focus been on cost and efficiency, but the ability to maintain and expand service while looking at cost and efficiency, and that's been a common theme throughout the discussions, which I think is very important. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for serving on that committee. I think it's such an important topic. Member Latofsky?
Thank you. It sounds like you guys are all doing a lot of good work while I'm off partying. We had 2 inaugurations. We have 2 new mayors in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and a lot of other new elected folks in Minneapolis. So a couple of inaugurations. You probably heard a little bit about it. A lot of new partners for us to engage in the next couple of months.
Excellent. Member Munt?
Madam Chair, I'd like to compliment our communications team on all the great earned media that we've gotten around our accomplishments over the last 50 years. Folks in my district are raving about finding out about things they never knew about the council.
Oh,
so job well done.
thank you. Any other comments? Member Commerce?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to report to the council that in December at our final meeting, the Riverview Corridor Policy Advisory Committee approved a locally preferred alternative for the corridor, which is streetcar connection, both in street of right-of-way and in dedicated right-of-way, linking the 2 cities of St. Paul and Bloomington. I think it's really an excellent finish to what became a process of more than 3 years. That sounds like a long time, and in fact, it was a long time, but it was time well spent. I think the sort of the pacing of that process was appropriate, and there were some chapters where we really needed to step back and conduct some additional analysis. That process took place, and I think we got to the right outcome. So I just wanted to offer that update. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or reports that folks would like to share? I had the opportunity earlier this week to spend some time with the building owners and managers government affairs group in Minneapolis to talk a bit about their concerns about transit and basically our SAC charges. So it was a really nice opportunity to sit with folks and kind of hear from them about some of the concerns that they have. I also had the opportunity to meet the new mayor of Minneapolis and talk with him about the work of the council, transportation, housing, parks, and we had a great discussion. And I would echo your comments, Member Letofsky, about the opportunity to work with new partners in some of our cities. So it's pretty exciting. Any other reports from anyone? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.